The problem begins within the home, according to Annette Lareau. Because working class parents just don't have the time to go, they avoid the school and empower some teachers they don't know. They're experts in the field, they say, with diplomas up for show. So goes the thoughts of poor parents, and the effects of poverty grow. An active mother at a school summed the situation up best. Her job was really to teach them. She'd gone to school to learn the best way of teaching reading, mathematics, science, things like that. I don't know that. Perhaps she didn't know it, but she was never stopped by that small fact. She often read to her son at home and reviewed math to help him pass. Lareau reinforces her point on the very next page. She says, working parents see a division of responsibility when their children reach this age. Working class parents often need to win the bread, and very, very few have time to volunteer instead. And these parents saw education as something like a job that the students were engaged in until the school bus dropped them off. And after that, it's free time, just like a working dad. So some students lost credit for the reading that they had. But the teacher, Mrs. Thompson, she saw a very different role for the parents of the children that she helped to learn it all. He had a home situation that was going to be fine for him, Mrs. Thompson said. But she wanted the educational responsibility to be shared and be viewed as part of living rather than be so limited. While on the opposite side of this town, the professionals have time. Most are salaried with savings accounts and ability to stand in line, to volunteer within the school, and also to unwind. These parents viewed all the teachers with a distrustful eye and sought to partner with teachers rather than hold them up so high. Here I must say that I agree with the attitude above. I'd never trust my children's education to someone I didn't love. Teachers may have big old degrees and show what they should know, but I've met a lot of teachers, and I've lived in poverty, and so I have a problem with educating my children in a place I do not know. I regularly volunteer at my son's preschool. I even applied for a job there, and when I got it, that was cool. But none of this would be possible without a big old hand and lots of financial support from good old Uncle Sam. I'm not saying that education is unimportant to the poor. All hope their children will succeed, but lack the time to do much more. What's the role of poverty on the good old-fashioned kid? Poor parents spoke with teachers less than the affluent parents did. And when they did talk with teachers, they often lowered their heads in supplication to the professional that was at the classroom's head. Unable and incapable was how they saw themselves, while professional, affluent folks had reminders on their shelves of the time they spent in school and working real hard to succeed. Of course they challenged teachers, and they often did indeed. I'll tell you a little story about my oldest son, Taylor, and how now looking back I view my early work as failure. I just didn't know any better. I thought teachers were the stuff, and Taylor graduated from high school with credits barely enough. As I learned more about teaching and the role that I should play, I followed up with Taylor's teacher nearly every single day. Just not meant for the great combine and the crushing of the spirit, and when I tried to help Taylor, he didn't want to hear it. But I made myself a nuisance, though it was very hard. Now my son makes more money than I can put on my credit card. Another problem facing Taylor is that he is a boy, and there's a difference. Everyone knows who's seen an Isle of Toys. The brains of boys are different, see, and often mature much slower than the brains of all the pretty girls, bathed in wildflower and clover. The difference is apparent in kindergarten when boys are better at hitting baseballs and throwing rocks than drawing cursive letters. Fine motor skills develop after the larger muscle groups, and those capable of sitting too often do feel cooped. The girls improve at language much faster than the boys, and because of an emphasis on words, these boys look like defective toys, or defective girls. I guess that's what I should say, at least according to an article I read the other day. There was a time 30 years ago when this wasn't the problem. Girls seemed to be falling behind, so there was a push to prod them. Today it seems most numbers show the opposite is true. Now boys are falling behind the girls in all statistics that are used. Let's compare the boys to primates, and we'll see some of the reason. Little boys are prone to act an awful lot like heathens. The boys compete just like the primates for social dominance, and girls, And if anything makes that boy look weak, it's tossed from that boy's world. That's why video games are such a common fascination for boys to fail and fail and fail again without fear of retaliation. Another issue I'd like to address with regards to gender norms is that of mothers becoming the dominant parental form when meeting teachers is required. Dads make most of the money, and I know that they get tired, but the sons are calling out. They need dads more than ever, the statistics seem to shout. There is no better factor to help a young man's success than the presence of a father helping him become his best. High rates of divorce and single mothers have made a generation of fatherless boys running all around without a love sensation. And as we talked in class about what it means to be a man, how can a boy decide this if a father left him and trusted his development to grandpa or a man of a different name that psychologists say may help, but it's really not the same? So, in conclusion, this paragraph starts with a brief assessment that working kids need involved parents and dads with big, strong hearts. I'd like to end this paper with a call to all the men. Be strong and lead your families. And if you do fail, try again. Our children need us. Heed their call, and let's help their education, because I'd hate to leave them with an empty shell for a nation.